Good morning, my dear students. Today, in our first hour, we shall discuss the vitamins, mainly the vitamin D. What are vitamins? We have already learned vitamins. What are vitamins? Vitamins are organic substances, number one. Two, they are needed in micro quantities to the body. And three, they need to be supplied in the food. They need to be supplied in the food. And suppose if it is not supplied in the food, what is the consequence of it? There is going to be a deficiency disorder. A deficiency disorder. So these are the main criteria to call it as a vitamins. What the original principles, when the original principles were discovered, the first principle happened to be having an amino group. They are vital for the human being or any animal being. And then the first one being the amine, they fast came to a conclusion, possibly they are certain amines and vital for the nutrition and then survival and then health of the organisms. So they called it as vitamins. But truly, later on, one by one, when they have been discovered, they came to know by all the people that they are not amines at all, but they are still vital, and then the name was committed amines. So E is been taken off, and then vital amines, vitamins. Again, we are continuing it. Out of them, we have the vitamins are two categories. Some are water soluble principles and some are fat soluble principles. In the fat soluble principles, we have discovered vitamin A, D, K, E. A, D, K, E. So, principle vitamin A, D, K, E are fat soluble vitamins. What does it mean? They are associated with fat and they are soluble in the fat soluble solvents like ethanol, ether, chloroform, benzene, so on and so forth. The other names for them, vitamin A, retinol and beta carotenes. For vitamin D, cholecalciferol. For vitamin K, haloquinones or minoquinones. The other names. And for E, tocopherols. Whereas the water-soluble ones are B and C originally, and few more were then discovered. But later on, they proved on this side and this side, along with C, some others were there, and later on they were proved that are vitamins. And hence, few people may call B is again, there is a complex of about 12 initially, and now they are about 8 of them are still continuing in the category of B complex. So B complex is a category and a non-B complex is a category. In the B complex, originally 12 were discovered and 4 were later on found that they are synthesized partly. One of the important criteria of vitamins is they are not supposed to be synthesized in the body. But some of these principles, initially part of white B complex group of vitamins, were later found to be, they were synthesized sufficiently. So then it is called as a B complex. And this side, few more of them, some M and other P, certain other water soluble vitamins were initially discovered, but later on they found they are not really so vitamins. And hence, the non-B complex group still remained is only vitamin C. So, B complex and non-B complex being the vitamin C. C and B are water soluble. Out of them, I would like to today tell you the D, about D, which is a water and fat soluble principle. And these are the few out of the fat soluble ones. These are the few resources and food resources you can see obviously. And A, carrots, and then green leafy vegetables. And for D, mainly egg yolk, livers. Both of them, liver is more A and D. In the fish livers, in the richly present. And E, the avocado, and B, this dry fruits, and then the leafy vegetables, and especially the green leafy vegetables are found richly. K is richly found in these ones. What are the main functions of A? Vision, reproduction, bone health, immune system, and skin integrity. So the A takes care of such the various functions involved in vision, reproduction, bone health, immune system, and skin integrity. Whereas the D, which I am going to talk a little in detail, mainly strengthens the bones. The bone metabolism, bone health is dependent much on the D nutrition, the presence of D insufficient. What does it mean? Bone means it is mainly calcium and phosphate. So calcium and phosphate metabolism in which D mainly takes part. And in that again, calcium absorption and reabsorption. Absorption from the gut and reabsorption at the level of kidney. Both are under the control of D vitamin. And immune strength, both A and D, they are going to strengthen the immune system. So people are popularly nowadays, they are saying you boost up your immune system so as to fight against the now today the burning infection, that is the viral infection, that is corona infection. So people with good immune system, they are able to resist the onslaught of corona virus. So immune system strengthening means people should take more and A and more D. What does it mean? Carrots, green leafy vegetables, fish livers, that is including fish, and then egg yolk, provided people are not having high cholesterol, because egg yolk is rich in cholesterol. And E is mainly boosts up immune system, and it is mainly works against the oxidant onslaught, oxidant attack. So this is mainly goes in the category of compounds which attacks oxidation onslaught in the body. So E is antioxidant, antioxidant. So and K is stands for Danish letter starts with K, coagulation. So in the Danish language, the coagulation it starts with this letter K, and hence it is given. It is mainly participates in the coagulatory mechanism. We know certain proteins which are participating in the clotting mechanism as factors. 1 to 13 factors. Factor 1, 2, 3, we know about it. And then out of them, especially fibrinogen 2 and 4 SPCA and 9 and 10. 9 and 10. And these factors are modified, they are synthesized as a inactive proteins. Inactive proteins are pro-proteins. These proteins need to be activated. And this activation is by way of the K vitamin participating with them, with these clotting factors being the proteins, and proteins are containing amino acids. And these proteins, these 4 proteins which I just now said, are rich in glutamic acid. In the glutamic acid, at the gamma position, another carboxylic group will be added by the action of vitamin K. This is what is called as gamma carboxylation. Vitamin K, vitamin K does the action of gamma carboxylation. This gamma carboxylation, once it is happened, then these proteins are active proteins. Otherwise, they are inactive factors. They are inactive factors. So this is how the blood coagulation mechanism is mainly influenced by vitamin K. And antagonists of the vitamin K are going to increase the bleeding phenomena. Increase the bleeding phenomena. So bleeding time is going to be increased if there is the vitamin K deficiency. And another important function is even bone health is also being taken care of. So these are being the common functions. And this is the difference between water soluble and fat soluble. You all know about it. And then this is all been previous classes. It has been told sufficiently. Now we will go to the vitamin D discussion. Discussion on vitamin D, the vitamin D. What is the vitamin D? Now, nowadays, the D vitamin is being used very, very commonly in many of the older people. Not only older, in all age groups, vitamin D, starting from newborn. Immediately for the newborn baby, the D supplementation is being done by neonatologists. And the pediatricians, yes, they are prescribing the D. And in the middle age, due to deficiency and various muscle problems and bone problems, the D nowadays became very, very important vitamin because the understanding on the problems cured by vitamin D has increased. And another very, very major important landmark is nowadays our people, that is the Department of Biochemistry, medical chemistry, is able to estimate vitamin D. After the estimation of vitamin D available to the physicians, now they came to know now so many previously unknown problems are all due to vitamin D deficiency. So now, after this, it is almost a revolution in this decade. Vitamin D deficiency and curing the problems. Vitamin D, what are the other names of vitamin D? Vitamin D is mainly the mother compound for vitamin D. D is a sterol-like compound, and the parent compound is the 7-dehydrocholesterol. Again, that means it is the cholesterol modified material. So 7-dehydrocholesterol, which is being present in the body, is being converted to the active formula, that is vitamin D, and that is now called as cholecalciferol. Cholecalciferol. Cholesterol, here it is cholecalciferol. And the other name is simply calciferol. As this is mainly discovered in connection with the curing of a human miserable disease, rickets, which was being known to the mankind since the 16th century. In the 16th century itself, the rickets was clearly described by physicians. Those days physicians. This anti-rachitic factor, and hence it is called as it is curing the rickets, it is also called as anti-rachitic factor. Now, the most important thing is this, I said the vitamin D, the parent material from the cholesterol, the 7-dehydrogenase attack on cholesterol, producing 7-dehydrocholesterol. And this 7-dehydrocholesterol becoming vitamin D by way of the sun rays, when the sun rays are falling, especially UV light, the V spectrum of UV light is been falling on this 7-dehydrocholesterol, then it is the vitamin D is produced in the form of cholecalciferol. Cholecalciferol. And hence we also called, or we people, then we people also called it as sunshine vitamin. So what are the other names? Main name is cholecalciferol, calciferols, anti-rachitic factor, and sunshine vitamin. Vitamin D is a, now how you can define it? Vitamin D is a prohormone. This word has come in the recent days. In the olden days, we do not know. Vitamin D is a steroid compound that can be synthesized in skin following exposure to sunlight, and individuals exposed to even mild sunshine, diffused daylight, they do not require vitamin D in the diet because it is sufficiently synthesized. Hence, it is called sunshine vitamin. But now, as the word prohormone, this is originally discovered as vitamin only. But the science has developed, and then what is its mechanism of action when they try to understand? Vitamin D, like the vitamin A, which participates in its two different forms, retinol and retinol forms, and Levensis, Aldrin's, stereoisomerisms. Only that particular molecule itself changing its molecular forms. Whereas this vitamin D directly is unable to exert a function. There it is able to exert the function. So then the science developed, and then now it is clearly known that vitamin D is modified by two different mechanisms in two different organs, and finally that active vitamin D that is being modified in the body is acting like a hormone. All the hormone mechanisms once now we understood, this also acting like those hormones in gene transcription enhancements, and that we will discuss in later. And hence now we convincingly we are now calling it as a D is a prohormone, and it is active formula is going to be acting like a hormone, and hence now we added this word. It is a prohormone and steroid hormone. Now you see, sunshine. Children who are playing in the early morning sun is good because they will get a good quantity of vitamin D, and that is good for bone health. And for the children, the most important one in those days, in the growing stage, is bone health, and hence it is essential for healthy children to grow. Vitamin D is a sunshine vitamin, so exposing to sunshine is very important. Going into the history, the vitamin D was originally discovered in the experiments of Dr. McCallum, a great nutritional scientist of those days. And he and his group, they initially started. Before that, nutritional science was not originated. Rather, there were only myths. A clear-cut experimental nutritional experiments are designed, started by the group of men. How? On small creatures, rats. They were feeding these rats in confinement in cages, and they are exposing them for strict, rigid environmental conditions, including nutritional conditions. They are purifying and giving the nutrition in the purified form. Nutrition is needed for the life to continue. Everybody knows about it on those days. So people are thinking, so some amount of rice is being fed to the individual continuously. It is sufficient to survive. but only alone a single type of nutrition is taken will give diseases. And how do they do? And what are those problems? That is all started strictly by the formulas which are being designed by McCullough. So, pure carbohydrate, pure lipid, and pure protein, if it is given, which are supposed to be needed for the health, which was the myth in those days, or rather the strong belief. Why myth? It is a strong belief, and people are convinced in those days that that is sufficient to have health. But these people said simply all those three giving to the animal beings is not sufficient. They will not support good health. So then what are the things needed? In his experiments, he concluded that some fat other than normal oils, the purified oils, some important other molecules are needed, fat-soluble compounds. And these fat-soluble compounds, he could able to cure the problems he found, could able to cure. Initially, A and D, in total, he has observed. So he had a spectrum of problems. And later on, they both were deciphered differently. But the first one he interested was the rickets curing by the giving of this purified material which he has done from fat soluble as a fat soluble complex. He has fed the children and he cured the rickets. And he said some fat soluble principle can cure the rickets. In this, what is that complex? What is that principle? The next generation people, or otherwise his disciples, they were purified it, and they found two different compounds. One is complex A, another is complex B. And A is a retinol form, and D is a cholesterol derivatives, like in the chemical nature. So he is the father of vitamin D, McCallum, and he treated rickets with the help of fish oils, fish liver oils. Actually, the rickets, as I said, even 16th century people knows about it, and people who has clearly identified the problem and then given the name rickets. Francis Glisson, British physician, he was an anatomist as well, writer on medical subjects. He called first rickets to the children who are suffering with abnormal legs, abnormal chest, and then abnormal the skulls even. The vitamin deficiency disease, rickets, has been known in the European countries for hundreds of years. That's just now what I said. During Industrial Revolution, that is in the 1890s, not is wrong, wrongly typed, 1890s, it was observed that the disease could be treated successfully by either incorporating fish oil, as I said, into the diet, or exposing the children to the sunshine. But as a treatment wise, the fish oils, once they have been given, the rickets is being cured. An essential factor was later discovered to be missing in rickets, which was named vitamin D. So the D vitamin came with our scientist. After his discovery, all the people who are having rickets are given two different treatments. One is sunshine, and Aya, or otherwise say a nurse, is supervising the children to expose to sunshine, to lie down in the early morning sun. And secondly, they were being coming in the schools, people coming to the schools were given fish liver oils, few drops by their teachers or the attending wardens, etc. So this was two different important inclusions in the treatment of rickets in those days. And cod liver oil became very famous. Cod liver oil became very famous. codfish oil is having highest quantity of vitamin D. And there is another fish called halibut liver. Both the fishes are very richly having vitamin A and D. But relatively, cod is having more of D and halibut is having more of A. So, halibut liver oil, cod liver oil. A means halibut liver oil. D means cod liver oil. So now, let us go a little bit in detail. What is its chemistry? What are the food sources? RDA, recommended daily allowance. How much D we need every day for healthy individual? Healthy to support the health without getting any disease. How much is the minimum quantity of vitamin D needed to the body? And then what is its metabolism? How does it functions in the body and functions in the body? And the vitamin D transformations, how they will transform his metabolism and how it supports in the human being or otherwise in the any animal, his functions. And if it is not sufficiently present, the deficiency diseases, by any chance overwhelmingly giving in excess, then it is toxicity. So we let us on these headings, try to understand a little in detail. Chemistry, what is its chemistry? Just now I said vitamin D is a steroid compound. Steroid, sterol is a chemical original compound. And steroids, they are group of compounds. Out of them, the important one is sterol. Sterol is an alcoholic, solid alcohol. And what is this solidification occurs due to? It is because of 1, 2, 3 benzene rings and 1 pentane rings, and then there is a side chain with the branches. In total, the carbons are 27 in number. Total carbons are 27 in number. This is the whole molecule. And there is an alcohol group at the 3rd position. You forget about other ones here. This one you forget about. And then here the ring is to be closed. Such a compound is called as cholesterol. Initially, the cholesterol is being opened up here. Initially, it is 7-dehydro. Initially, it is another double bond is being introduced here. This is closed, and that is 7-dehydrocholesterol. And this 7-dehydrocholesterol, due to sunshine, it breaks this particular connection between these two. The ring is opened up, and once the ring is opened up, this particular molecule is getting the function of vitamin D. So vitamin D main differences between the cholesterol and here, having a hydroxyl group extra here, having a double bond here, and here the connection is in between these two. The ring is being opened up. So 3 differences from the cholesterol, and 2 differences from the dehydrocholesterol, 7-dehydrocholesterol. Vitamin D is a steroid compound. There are 2 forms of vitamin D. The main form is cholecalciferol. But mind you, ergocalciferol, there is another substance which is being also present in the sterol in the plants. In sterol in the plants is ergosterol. Sterol in the animals is cholesterol. Cholesterol, ergosterol. Then cholesterol, once a double bond is introduced into the A and B, E ring at the 7th position, then it is called 7-dehydrocholesterol. That's all. The dehydration modification on pure cholesterol. So this is the provitamin, and this is also provitamin. So there are 2 different forms of vitamin D. One is ergo type, another is chole type. Ergosterol is the parent, and 7-dehydrocholesterol is another parent. and hence these two are called as provitamins. Ergosterol after modification becomes ergocalciferol. Similarly, 7-dehydrocholesterol in the skin by the action of sunshine, once it is ring is opened up, and then it is called as cholecalciferol. Potency wise, when compared to ergo, this is a little more potent. And the names given were in the chemical separations. They given vitamin D3 for cholecalciferol, vitamin D2 for ergocalciferol. So ergocalciferol is plant origin, cholecalciferol is animal origin, and mainly plants means mainly a type of fungus, ergot, is having rich this ergosterol. It richly produces ergosterol, and hence from there the vitamin synthesized is vitamin D2. So this can be naturally synthesized. This can be synthesized in the pharmacy as well. And that is the industry also. So now let us provitamin 7-dehydrocholesterol and vitamin is vitamin D3 or cholecalciferol. This is manufactured in the animal beings, including humans, where in the skin, this conversion takes place in the skin. Let us see later. Ergosterol, either natural or by industrial producing ergocalciferol. This is vitamin D2, D3 and D2. And the whole complex initially they called it as D1. So 7-dehydrocholesterol, see, at the 7th position, everything is cholesterol except that this double bond is not there in the cholesterol. And by way of dehydrogenation attack on cholesterol, one can have 7-dehydrocholesterol. So a double bond at the 7th position is 7-dehydrocholesterol. This comes into the skin. In the skin, it is when the sun is exposed to UV rays. And in the Malpighian layer, of the dermis, or rather the skin, the photolysis, photo breakdown, photo cutting takes place at this position. What is happening here? The ring is opened up. The ring is opened. The ring is opened up. And hence, now this is called as a secosterol. And this is the twisted, these cis forms are twisted to transform. And then once it is the isomerism is changed and this form is obtained, then the substance is called cholecalciferol. This is a transform at this particular 7th position, and hence this is the active rather the vitamin D material is cholecalciferol D3 form. This is how synthesized in the skin with the help of sun rays, UV rays mainly. The synthesis. The naturally produced vitamin D3 or cholecalciferol is done in all tissues. Mind you, this is done in all tissues. The largest amount in the Malpighian layer of the skin. When this steroid is exposed to radiation in the UV range, UV light is being present in the sun, early morning sun rays, and slant sun rays are having increased quantity. But even all the time, there will be some amount. But in the early and late night, evening sunlight is having more of UV. It in between 290 to 315 nanometers range. If light is being struck, the 7-dehydrocholesterol, its steroid ring is broken. The B ring is broken. The product formed is cholecalciferol or vitamin D3. So cholesterol, initially dehydrogenation, that is 7th position I showed you, one double bond is included, and it is called as 7-dehydrocholesterol. And this 7-dehydrocholesterol, upon UV light exposure, the opening up of the B ring, Benzyne ring B, and then there is a cis to trans transformation, both occurs, then this becomes vitamin D. Principle, Now we are calling it as D3 or cholecalciferol. Artificially produced vitamin D2, just now I said previously, or ergocalciferol, that is diffused slightly from, different slightly from D3 in structure of its side chain. Where main difference is in the structure of side chain, there is a little change. It is produced in the laboratory by irradiation of plant sterol ergosterol. Ergot is a fungal material, and this is having a lot of ergosterol, and this is being irradiated, and you are getting a vitamin D principle. So ergosterol isolated from the plant, and commercial irradiation with UV light, and ergocalciferol vitamin D2. Initially, people in the pharmacy, they tried a lot of this principle, and they supplied a lot this principle. Provitamins ergosterol, ergocalciferol photolysis. Similarly, 7-dehydrocholesterol in the animal's skin, and cholecalciferol. This is D3, this is D2. Now, having understand the chemistry, how much material or how much of it is needed for healthy individuals' survival? 5 to 10 micrograms. 5 to 10 micrograms. Milligrams, 1/1000th of it is microgram. So 5 to 10 micrograms of this vitamin D2 or D3 principle, vitamin D principle is needed. And this is also in their experiments, they quantified it as units, international units. They have a biological measure, and from the biological measures, they obtained each nutritional materials value in international units. So in that way, D activity, that is the compounds which are having D, that material is needed 200 to 400 international units. Recommended daily allowance for people, for healthy, in the nutrition, to maintain health, is 200 to 400 international units, which is otherwise 5 to 10 micrograms. 1 microgram of vitamin D is equal to 40 international units. There is a little difference. This is for an adult. Suppose in the children, where the bone growth is very, very rampantly occurring, and hence the children are in need of more, a little more quantity, and hence it is on the higher end. So 10 micrograms, or otherwise 400 international units per day is the recommended allowance. Whereas in the adults, on the lower side is sufficient 5 micrograms, that is in between 20 to 60 years of age. And then pregnancy and lactation, it is a demand. Again, the individual's demand is increasing because there is another baby in the pregnancy. And in the lactation, they need to produce material out of it to support the baby. And hence, again here, it is 400 international units or 10 micrograms per day. So in the stress conditions, this side, and in the normal conditions, this side. And above the age of 60, again, people above the age of 60, they need 600 international units per day. A more vitamin D is needed for them. So requirement of vitamin D is like this. And these are the recommended daily allowance for vitamin D. And this is important for you as far as the examination is concerned, because people are, the examiners, very much insisting. These are the sources, you see. This is the egg yolk. These are the beans. This is the fish in toto, fish liver in particular. And then this is the butter. This is the cheese, and then mushrooms. And then these are all containing These are all containing vitamin D. Vitamin D. Then exposure to sunlight is the major source of vitamin D, no doubt about it. It can be obtained from food sources also. So when you are exposed to sunlight, at least you are reducing your requirement of D half of the normal requirements. And then food is the liver oils, fish liver oils, cod liver oil, or halibut liver oils. In general, any fish liver oils, fish oils. And another good sources are egg yolk and the livers of even animals. So this is about, and all other are also reasonable sources of D. And what is its metabolism? So when you have taken it in the mouth, it has to be digested, it has to be absorbed. And as it is a fat soluble vitamin, it is associated with fats. And how fat is digested, you need bile salts, bile pigments, and all these things assist in that is micellar formations, saponifications, and all these things occurs in the intestines. So now, once they are taken via mouth, they go up to the level of jejunum, and then they start mixing with the bile salts, that is the bile and pancreatic enzymes, and then they will become digested, and then they will be incorporated into the chylomicrons. So now the material we have taken might be in the animal source D3, might be in the plant source D2, both the sources. Vitamin D principle. This will be going up to the level of small intestine. There it is completes the fat digestion. And then the absorption site is at the level of small intestine. They are incorporated into the chylomicrons along with lipids. Requires bile salts. Along with lipids means they form micellar formations, chylomicron formations, and go along with them into the systemic circulation. You see here, dietary vitamin D is absorbed in the duodenum, later to it along with lipids. It is transported to the liver through the once it went into the chylomicron and then goes to the latter goes to the via chylomicrons, circulates in the systemic circulation and reaches the liver and transport up to that level. How? The binding to vitamin D, binding the globulin. Vitamin D in the circulation bound to a protein, specific protein, whose name is vitamin D binding globulin, VDBG. VDBG, vitamin D binding globulin, one of the components of serum globulins. In that, it bonds either D2 or D3 bound with this and circulates. Active form of vitamin D, which is the active form. So now, either D2 or D3, is it able to perform the function we tried our experiments? No. What is happening to this material? This material is reaching to the first liver. In the liver, it is getting transformed. But here, this slide shows the active form of vitamin D is one, here is not there, 1-alpha, you please note it, 1-alpha-25 dihydroxy, two more hydroxyl groups along with cholecalciferol. Cholecalciferol is also already having a hydroxyl group at the third position because it is a cholesterol that is having a OH group in the third position. So not only that alcohol group, along with that, two more alcohol groups are being added to our vitamin D, whether it is in the form of ergocalciferol, or cholecalciferol, or in the form of cholecalciferol. And then, after addition of two hydroxyl groups, we are able to see this principle is the active principle. And the newer name, this is the older name. The newer name, the people named it calcitriol, tri-3-ol, 3 alcohols. How? 2 times in the metabolism, it is getting N-hydroxyl groups at one alpha position and 20 position. 2 hydroxyl groups extra. Already 1 hydroxyl group in the cholesterol is there. That is the parent is there. So now 3 hydroxyl group finally, and hence it is now this metabolized vitamin D is called as calcitriol. And truly, in our convincing experiments today, higher end experiments has convincingly shown that the D in this form, calcitriol form, is the real active principle. Real active principle. How it is getting these two in between? In the D2 or D3, once they came to liver, you see what is happening. In the sunlight, 7-dehydrocholesterol again started, and then it is modified and became cholecalciferol, vitamin D3. So this form either may be arrived into the body through nutrition also. So whether it has arrived through nutrition or synthesized within the body, either whichever the way, cholecalciferol, vitamin D3 form is there. This in the chylomicrons going to transport it to liver. In the liver, what is happening, so this is it. From the fish meat and supplements, dietary intake also reaching the liver. So reaching the liver. And here, what is happening is, there is an enzyme called 25-hydroxylase. Note down, 25-hydroxylase. This 25-hydroxylase converts this either D3 or D2 to 25-hydroxy vitamin D3 or hydroxy vitamin D2. 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol, 25-hydroxy ergocalciferol. Either whichever they will. But for convenience sake, we follow only D3 cholecalciferol. So the first conversion is in the liver, and a hydroxyl group is added to vitamin D, nutritive vitamin D or synthesized vitamin D, and then it is becoming 25-hydroxy vitamin D3. So 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol, you say it. And then this is stored here. This is stored here. When there is a need, that is, when is the need? When calcium is reduced in the circulation. Calcium is reduced in the circulation. And then that means it maintains calcium balance in the body. In the headlines, vitamin D mainly does the work of calcium balance in the body. How does it? Let us see details. And once 25-hydroxy vitamin D cholecalciferol released from the liver, when there is a calcium is reduced. Also, this reaches now to the kidney. Reaches to the kidney. In the kidney, what is going to happen is that the kidney is having another hydroxylase, and its name is 1-alpha hydroxylase. Again, 1-alpha hydroxylase. It adds another hydroxyl group at the position 1. At the position 1. So now, once this conversion is finished, so from the liver, the 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol coming to the kidney, it is again modified by another action of 1-alpha hydroxylase, and now becoming 1-alpha 25, 2 times hydroxylations, dihydroxy cholecalciferol or vitamin D. This is the important one. When calcium is low, both the organs are being sensed the low calcium, and both these enzymes, mainly the 1-alpha hydroxylase enzyme, is going to produce 1-alpha 25 dihydroxy vitamin cholecalciferol. So how does it restores calcium levels? So formation of 1-alpha-25 dihydroxycholecalciferol. Vitamins D2 or D3 are not biologically directly active. They are converted inside the body, in vivo, inside the body, to the active form of the D vitamin by two sequential hydroxylation reactions. Hydroxylation, first hydroxylation, 25 hydroxylation in the liver, and second hydroxylation, 1-alpha hydroxylation, 1-alpha-25 dihydroxycholecalciferol formation in the kidney. Liver and kidney modifies the vitamin D into active form. So what will happen? Liver is the first hydroxylation occurs. Cholecalciferol 25th position with the name specific hydroxylase, and hence this is 25 hydroxycholecalciferol, 25 hydroxy D3 otherwise. This is another name because there are only two. This is its original one, and another hydroxylase in the 25 position, and hence this is two hydroxyl groups. So here it is called as calcidiol. Diol is not dal, diol. Calcidiol, two oles. It is the predominant form of vitamin D in the plasma. In the plasma, this circulates, and when the need comes, immediately the kidney senses, and 1-alpha hydroxylase gets activated by low calcium, and this circulating one diol or otherwise 25 hydroxy is being acted upon by 1-alpha hydroxylase and producing another hydroxylation at the position 1 and alpha position, and hence this is 3 alcohols and calcitriol, the original name previously 1-alpha-25 dihydroxycholecalciferol. And in the kidney, it is explained 25 hydroxy hydroxylated at the position 1-alpha and hence producing 25 hydroxycholecalciferol to 1-alpha by the 1-alpha hydroxylase in the kidney to produce 1-alpha-25 dihydroxy D3 or calcitriol. So this is shown again here, the product, final active form. And this is now acting like a hormone, and hence they are calling it as a hormone or vitamin D as a prohormone. So the active form as a hormone and vitamin D as a prohormone. So then generation of calcitriol, simply liver and kidney, 25 hydroxylation in the liver, 1-alpha in the kidney. So now you can see ultra again in the form. The whole thing is actually maintaining calcium and phosphate metabolism. What are the 3 hormones? Very important, please note down. What are the 3 hormones which take care of or which involved in the maintenance, regulation of calcium and phosphate? Where is calcium present in the body? Probably the largest mineral in the body, because all the bone is nothing but calcium phosphate. So even kgs are there, calcium. So now this calcium, but in the serum, you know how much it is. It is only 9 to 11 milligrams. And the functions of calcium in the neurological excitation and the muscle contraction and the hormonal activity, everywhere calcium acts. Takes a pivotal role, and its levels are maintained stringently in the very low quantities, that is 9 to 11 milligrams in the circulation. Even though they are deposited in such a large quantities in certain organs like bones, but circulating calcium is smaller. So very minimal alterations are going to produce disease in the body. Very high is diseased, very low is also diseased. Both produces insult to the normal health. So now these are maintained by 3 important hormones. Hormone number one is parathormone. Another one, the calcitonin. Calcitonin is produced in the thyroid, and parathormone produced in the parathyroid glands. And then the third important principle in the hormone form is calcitriol, and the vitamin form, it is the vitamin D. And that is the vitamin D. How? This, the active form, 1-alpha 25 dihydroxy calciferol is coming into the intestinal villar cell. And here, every cell will be having its nucleus. The nucleus is having genes, and the gene, one of it influences the 125 will be joining to a protein in the cell, the cytosol, a receptor cell, and this receptor and this the vitamin D active form, both they are binding together, and both of them will travel into the nucleus, and they present what is called as a hormone responsive element, HRE, hormone responsive element, and they bind to this hormone responsive element in a gene in the nucleus of the intestinal cell, and this gene produces a protein, and that protein's name is calbindin, calcium binding. In this calcium binding protein in the cell of intestinal villi, this is called calcium binding protein. This protein is synthesized more through mRNA production, and then the protein synthesis and producing binding, calbindin. Once this protein is liberated, this is all happens in few minutes. So when calcium is reduced, this active form calcitriol is produced. It is coming into the intestinal cell, and hormone responsive element, gene is stimulated, then gene is transcribed, translated, protein produced. Protein is coming into the intestinal villar membrane, and this is inside of the gut, and here present calcium in the nutritional form. So taken calcium via nutrition is absorbed at this level by this cal-binding protein. If this cal-binding protein is not present in sufficient quantity here, then even though in the nutrition, in the intestinal lumen, even though calcium is present, cannot be absorbed. So what is the most important thing to be remembered forever? Just giving calcium to an individual who is having less calcium is not sufficient. So for hypocalcemia, for treatment, just giving calcium is not sufficient. Along with that, vitamin D must be given, and the active principle should produce calbindin protein, and then only calcium can be absorbed into the blood. Calcium can be absorbed into the blood. So this is the most important theme to be remembered forever for the lifetime. Calcium should be given along with D to treat hypocalcemia. Otherwise, it is not sufficient, not effective. And two important organs, liver and kidney, should be healthy for this maintenance. So three hormones which are maintaining the balance of calcium and phosphate: parathormone, calcitonin, and vitamin D. Vitamin D absorbs calcium from the intestinal lumen into the blood, and also here itself in the kidney, it reabsorbs calcium. It will not allow calcium to lose into the urine. So reabsorption of calcium in the tubules, renal tubules, is another second important function. Reabsorption of calcium in the kidney itself. So absorption, reabsorption too. And parathormone will activate the vitamin D becoming 125 dihydroxy. Calcitonin acts exactly oppositely. When calcium is excess in the blood, it tries to deposit in the bones. The third function of the calcitriol is it goes and acts on bone. So it acts on bone and liberates a little bit of amount of calcium from the bone into the blood. So calcium in the bone to the blood, calcium in the intestinal lumen into the blood, calcium reabsorption into the blood, and that's how hypocalcemia is being boosted up by the vitamin D active principle via parathormone. And in the other side, when calcium is more, the reverse reactions, and they will be deposited more calcium in the bone, and more calcium is lost in the urine, and prevents calcium, even though present in the lumen, not to absorb. And this is the important mechanism. And biochemical effects are like this, and then the functions, the plasma concentration of calcium and phosphate, vitamin D, they act on vitamin D, and these are all the things that are occurring, as I said. Biochemical effects of vitamin D, mainly the calcitriol, and then intestine, kidney, and bones. Calcium phosphorus metabolism via calcitriol. Biochemical effects of the intestinal villar cells uptake of calcium by intestine, kidney distal tubular cells minimizing the loss of calcium phosphorus, what I said in the beginning. Bone osteoblasts, mobilization of calcium and phosphate. So from the bone, osteoblast activity increased and they liberates calcium. Calcitriol is the physiological active form of vitamin D, increases the blood calcium level. Calcitonin is the peptide hormone released from thyroid gland. It decreases the blood calcium. So that is blood calcium is put into the bones by calcium, opposite effect. The functions of it plays an essential role as a hormone in the regulation of calcium and phosphorus metabolism. Just now I said hormone responsive element and the gene transcription translations. Calcitriol, this is in the cell, calcitriol occurring in the cell. It is binding to a receptor calcitriol complex coming to the hormone responsive element, and CR binds to DR. And this is the calcitriol, and the receptor binds to DNA, transcription and the translation of call binding protein. Binding is coming here, and it is complexing with the calcium and absorbed into the blood. The effects in the intestine, calcitriol stimulates the absorption of calcium and phosphorus from the intestine. Calcitriol acts like a steroidal hormone. It enters the target cell, cytoplasmic receptor, again and again, same thing, the written form. And functions of the action of calcitriol on intestine, again in the form, in a form of the diagram. The call binding proteins. It is liberating the synthesizing call binding proteins in the intestines, and they absorb the calcium from the lumen into the blood. And this is the plasma calcium influences the PTH, parathormone hormone. Through parathormone hormone, 1-alpha-25 dihydroxycholecalciferol production is increased, and then all the actions that occurs, and the plasma calcium is increased, or rather serum calcium, or whatever it is. And then decreased serum calcium is influencing in the same mechanism. And decreased serum phosphate directly acts, unlike parathormone, the calcium acting through the parathormone, the phosphate directly acts, influences the hydroxylation. Once the D3 is increased very much, one important thing, that is the hydroxylation process, instead of 1-alpha, it becomes 24-alpha. Once 24-alpha is done, then what will happen is this is becoming inactive form. Whenever the vitamin D need to be excreted out, it is excreted out as a 24 hydroxylation process, and then that becomes inerted and then thrown out from the circulation. So vitamin D and human health from gamete to the grave. From the gamete to the grave, it requires all the time. If the normal range of vitamin D is greater than 30 nanograms, insufficient 20 to 29, deficient 10 to 19, we can estimate vitamin D. It is toxic if it goes more than 150 nanograms per ml. Where is it? It is in the blood, that is in the serum or plasma. The deficiency manifestations. People who not exposed to causes of deficiency, who are not exposed to sunlight, inadequate food supply, impaired absorption at the gut, abnormality of vitamin D activation because kidney or liver function has lost. Vitamin D deficiency occurs. In the children, it's called rickets. In the adults, it is called osteomalacia or otherwise softening of the bone. Please mind you, in the children, it is rickets. In the old man, in the grown people, osteomalacia. Malacia is malacia, is softening, osteobone. Bones becoming softened. Whereas in the children, they are abnormal. Decreased serum calcium, soft, pliable bones, bone deformities, delayed dentition. This is another one. Even the dental abnormalities occurs. Delayed closure of fontanelle. All these things are present in the rickets, the disease rickets in the children. You see, the bow legs, the knocked legs. These are the bow legs. These are the deformities of rickets. Please look at these pictures and try to recall all these things when you are writing the answer for rickets. Rickets for children only, not for elders. All you see the bony deformities how they are, and the child with the rickets. The chest is abnormal. This is what is called as rickety rosary. The chest, you see, it is got prominent. Also called as Pigeon chest. It is protruded out. Lower chest is protruded out like a pigeon chest. Rickety rosary, pigeon chest, knocked knees, bowed legs. These are all the rickets characters. Fontanelles, fontanelle bossing, delayed closures of fontanelle, delayed closure of fontanelle, fontanelle bossing, dental hypoplasia. The dental means the teeth will not be properly matured. Pectus cavum is also called as swelling in the wrist and ankle joints. This is another thing. Swelling in the wrist and ankle joints. The wide end sutures. Craniotabes, the flat end one. Rackety rosary, they say. The ribs are a peculiar way and they are called as two different abnormalities. Rackety rosary and Harrison's sulcus, that is a groove in the center, and bowed legs are knocked knees. These are all 10 important clinical features of rickets to call a child as ricket. Renal rickets, if the kidney function is lost, chronic kidney disease, then 1-alpha getting failed. So even though vitamin D is there, the active principle is not being produced from the kidney, and there is going to be the rickets for the children. Then they are called renal rickets due to kidney problem. Even though you vitamin D in the food you give it, they won't respond. And secondly, renal osteodystrophy. The elderly people with the kidney disease, they have renal dystrophy, they call it. And osteitis fibrosa, osteomalacia, and sometimes metastatic calcifications occurs due to abnormalities. Renal osteodystrophy is a disease that occurs when your kidneys fail to maintain proper level of calcium and phosphorus in the blood. The types of rickets, vitamin D resistant rickets, it is because of either the involved defect in the metabolism or mechanism of action of calcium. Defective vitamin D receptor or defective 1-alpha hydroxylase, liver disease or kidney failure. So here also there is going to be resistance to the vitamin D. The bowed legs, again some more pictures. Costochondral swelling, rickety rosary, and then wide swept knees, Knock means Genu welcome, they also called as Harrison's sulcus and pot belly. In the osteomalacia in the elderly, decreased serum calcium, insufficient mineralization in the bones, and then soft and pliable bones, increased osteoporosis and bone deformities. Osteoporosis can be seen in certain X-rays. Mainly involves the spine, rickety rosary, one eye colysis in the nails is manifestation of vitamin D deficiency. You see, the nails are abnormal. This is called one eye colysis. The broken nails. The hyper, by chance, if you give the by the treatment, either by way of pills or injections, if you give more than 150 micrograms, then high intake over the period of time, early symptoms are nausea, vomiting, anorexia, increased thrust, loss of weight, etc. There may be hypercalcemia, and bones may get calcification here and there, or even the tendons may get calcified. This is the most dangerous one. So these are the important aspects of vitamin D metabolism. Thank you very much. Okay.